So anyway, the promo that people were long awaiting that we were about to come up on, that it wasn't just a 1 week thing with old Jinder Mahal, or was he gonna get a shot? And Seth Franklin Rollins comes to the ring, and so immediately I start fast forwarding. But as all of a sudden, right at 10 o'clock, here comes Jinder Mahal, and I said they're gonna give him a chance at this. This might continue. And he comes out again. He's in the suit, and he's a big motherfucker. You know, he's got the size going for him. And the first thing he says is, I was more revolutionary last week in 5 minutes than you have been, Seth Rollins, the revolutionary, in 5 years. And I'm thinking, boy, he's really going to tee off on him now. And Brian, they backed up on it. Could you tell they backed up on it?
What do you mean by that?
Because
on the anti-American stuff?
The anti-American. Last week, he set it up perfect for Rock, and that's why the people got wet, and he started getting some rumblings. This week, he still did a good job with what he delivered, but he threw away kind of some stuff like, oh, Portland, your streets are full of degeneracy. And Seth Rollins, you want to entertain these clowns and push their agenda of degeneracy or whatever. You got degeneracy on every street corner. What is degeneracy? What is a bunch of people whacking off like in San Diego? It'd be cold this time of year in Portland. Bum fucks. That's where that ought to be a video series where you just go around and see if you can find video of bums fucking on the streets.
That should not be a video series, no.
But he was bitching because Seth wouldn't give him a title shot. And he was just talking like, oh, and you people are... It almost sounded like he was going in the right to censor fucking mode. You see what I'm saying? And it was fine. It was okay. But it really didn't get heat like last week. And there was some minor whatting and some level of indifference to this. And I know it's because The Rock was in the ring last week and not, but still it was a difference in the material. He didn't go for anybody's throat as far as you American swine. And that's what I was hoping I'd see.
I didn't think they were going to do it a second time like that because I didn't think you could. It was kind of one of those things, get it all out one time, because if it continues week after week, it's going to cause problems by week 3. And they toned it back so it is a little bit more like, almost like the Dutch Mantel faction years ago. They have problems with what's happening, but they're not just coming out and saying the national anthem in another language.
But see, that's another example of what I've always said. That's why wrestling shouldn't be on national television.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, there isn't too much other television nowadays other than that. But the other thing is, I thought it was a good promo. Again, not every crowd's going to be the same. I believe they wanted him to go out there and get as much heat as possible to make the Rock thing as wonderful as it was for Rock fans.
Yeah.
So you're not going to do that every week, because then...
I'm not saying the same thing. I'm saying say something different in the same vein.
Hey, him calling out Rollins was good. Now, Rollins has been called out by a few guys in promos in the last year, but I thought this one was one of the more interesting Rollins things. And there is a little bit of history with these two, as we talked about earlier. From Tony Khan's tweets. I'll tell you, Tony Khan's getting Jinder Mahal over more than WWE is even at this point. Well,
yeah, as a matter of fact, think about this. Tony Khan has gotten Cody Rhodes and Jane Cargill and CM Punk and Jinder Mahal ready to fucking make some real money in the business and main event for the big boys.
Watch the next time WWE runs Jacksonville, Jinder Mahal is going to be in the fucking main event. I promise you that. Watch that happen. But this was good. Again,
it was a good promo, yes.
Yeah, but the other thing, he got beat by The Rock. You had to do something to get everyone's mind. You got reintroduced to him. You didn't like him. Then it became The Rock's moment. You're going to use him again the next week. You had to do something to get people's mind off the fact he got his ass kicked.
Well, so what'd they do?
Well, he let Rollins know that he doesn't like him.
And then they kicked his ass. Because I swear to God, they had the good promo, and Seth fucking or he had the good promo, and then Seth responded by saying, yes, I agree, you've been overlooked. It was on purpose. And he verbally dismissed him like he was a job guy and told him off for getting up in his face. And then he dared Jinder Mahal over and over, hit me, hit me, hit me. And Jinder wouldn't do it, even though he's standing there with 2 inches or 3 inches and fucking 40 pounds or whatever on him. And finally, when, as a heel would, when Seth turns his back, then he fucking hits him, gets 5 seconds of heat, and Seth fights back, and Jinder Mahal rolls out to escape his wrath. And that was the end of that. If he'd have goddamn dared him to hit him, and then he had tried face to face, and Seth had ducked and fucking hit him with a flurry and a big boom and took a bump and come up, and somehow the guy had just fucking kicked him in the balls, poked him in the eye, and then give him a pile driver and drop him on his fucking head and spit on him, then I'd like to see that. But now I don't give a fuck. Because he got told off and beat up by The Rock, and that got him a lot of attention. And then he comes out to challenge this fucking champion, and he gets told off and beat up again. Who the fuck is writing this shit?
Paul Levesque. Hey,
then what the... Seth can't get beat up for a week or two, and then he can come back and beat him up then when they pay for it, or the premium live event?
What do you think of the fact that a few times now, the crowd either kind of groans a little or just stays silent, like awkwardly, when Rollins says that over the last year he's established his belt as being the most important belt in wrestling? He did it again here, and like the crowd's just like, no, that's not true.
Nobody agrees. Because it's not. And it's Romans. And that's been the thing we've said since the start. They were going to think that, and they still think that. And we think that, because everybody thinks that. This is a belt they made up and put it on a guy after a tournament on TV or whatever the fuck. So but anyway, thanks for coming, Jinder. We barely knew ye, but I don't really see what threat he is at this point, or I don't see him getting stabbed in the future by an angry fan like I would have last week if they'd have kept this going.
Well, I don't think they wanted that kind of reaction. That's not WWE-like, but let me ask you this. Considering this happened, and then the Tony Khan outburst about Jinder happened after this, do you think that affects the way they use him next week or going forward?
Well, I think they've still probably got something planned for him. It's just not going to work like it would have if they'd actually made him credible this week. Maybe he's going to come back next week and fucking just beat the shit out of Seth. I don't know, but I think the time was there. They do it when it was there.
They should have him get a lot of money and buy that bag off CM Punk, and next week just reveal the AEW championship and hold it in the air. What do you think of this, Tony?
Hey, I'll tell you what, with Jinder Mahal, because the people that you're going for with the foreign menace, they're gonna be sitting there going, he's one of them Arabs, right? We don't like him. What about do what the Iranian assassin did in Tennessee? Old Jack Cougar. He worked preliminaries for Bruiser as Jack Cougar. His real name was Jack Kruger. He got into business driving Bruiser's ring truck.
He was the sketchiest looking referee in WWE history. I was
oh my God, yeah, because he would drive the ring truck for them after that. But in 81, 82, he worked as the Iranian assassin here in Tennessee because that was during the hostage crisis or right after and all that shit. And there was the oil embargo and gas prices. All that shit had been in the news for several years. And he would come out. He had the fucking chic curly-toed boots and he had the fucking headdress that he would wear, but he just wore black tights and he had one word written on the ass of his tights, oil. And fuck you, motherfucker. Every time people filled up at the gas station, they'd think of, you no good son of a bitch. But yes, Tony's tweets have gotten Jinder over. I think his own company should support him a little better by letting him beat the shit out of somebody here before too long. But apparently they're getting the tweets, but they're not getting the message. You know, Brian, that's a problem sometimes. You can get your tweets, but you don't get the message. You know what? Sometimes people pay a fortune to get these tweets and messages. But if you don't get your tweets, you don't get your messages, and especially if you don't get your phone calls, well, you're just up shit creek without a paddle, as Mama Cornette used to say.
That's right, with a non sequitur.
Well, she never rode in a canoe with one of those type of people, whether it was up shit creek or any other one. She would stay away from low-class individuals like those non sequiturs.
Would Mama Cornette have a cell phone?
Only reluctantly that she would keep in her car, as I do, in case she was late or got lost and needed directions, or in case of emergency. She was a big in case of emergency person. Otherwise, I think once every 3 days, the phone in this house would ring when she lived here. Once every 3 days, you'd hear the phone ring, and she'd go, well, who the hell can that be? Why can't people leave me alone?
Well, I guess to talk about this, a lot of people don't want to be left alone. They want to talk to their friends and family or text them or tweet them, whatever it may be. And for those who are social and want to be in touch with people, we have a wonderful friend to tell you about.
Well, that's because I said you got to get the tweets, you got to get the messages, and you got to get the text, and you got to get the picture. You really got to get the picture, and that's what you can get all of that with Mint Mobile for only $15 a month. Now, you may be paying hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, from what I understand, for your wireless plan. That's because everybody's got to have a computer in their pocket these days. Well, if you're one of those people, and by the way, you know, they've proven, it's been scientifically proven that if you have a cell phone to the side of your head for long enough, that the radio waves will rewire your brain and you'll become addicted to Cheetos and want to stand on your head in a pile of shit all the time. That's been scientifically proven.
And it absolutely has not been scientifically proven or any other way proven. That is not a fact.
But that's why Big Wireless got together. They're sending signals to your brain to buy their products. That's why only a brainless nitwit would pay hundreds of dollars a month for a wireless plan when you get it from Mint Mobile for $15 a month. Don't let Big Wireless send impure thoughts into your brain courtesy of your cell phone. Go to Mint Mobile. They don't have a thought amongst them. And that's why they're selling this stuff for so cheap. $15 a month when you get a 3-month plan. Well, that's 3 months for $45. That's 33 1/3% per month. And that's for unlimited talk, text, and data. And you can't beat that unless you just don't talk to people, which is a preferable thing to do, but something that most people can't accomplish. So Mint Mobile will rescue you with premium wireless plans for just $15 a month. Say bye-bye to the overpriced wireless plan. You get unlimited talk, unlimited text, unlimited high-speed data. It's going to come at you fast. So if you don't have anything to cover up with, get a garbage can lid or something, or just duck under a piece of furniture, because they're going to be yeeting this shit at you, this data, as fast as they can. And it's the nation's largest 5G network. And they got that going for them. What does that mean, Brian?
That means for every one George Wells of another phone company, they have 5.
Well, Master G, the
5G.
largest Master 5G network, and you can use your own phone if you want that thing anymore after it's been contaminated by Big Wireless.
Well, no, the phone is fine. You can use your phone. Let's not mislead people and make them think they're going to have to go do something different. You could use the phone you have now.
Dip it in some peroxide or some formaldehyde.
Do not do anything like dipping it in any sort of solution or water that will kill the phone.
Well, it wasn't how you want to kill the germs. You want to de-Germanize that thing.
But you don't do it by dipping the whole thing in peroxide. That would kill the phone. You have to get a peroxide pad and maybe rubbing alcohol.
I would say spray it liberally over the screen. And folks, again, you can bring your existing contacts along with you. If you have contact with people, they'll have to take a short sexually transmitted disease test to make sure that they won't contract others. But then you can bring your existing contacts on over to this plan. And again, $15 a month right now if you go to mintmobile.com/JCE. $15 a month on that 3-month plan. Unlimited everything, all the time. Guaranteed. at mintmobile.com/JCE. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. You can see Mint Mobile for details. We don't have those here.
No, we don't. But once again, Mint Mobile, we thank them for joining the show. Great service. Once again, what's that promo code, Jim?
Well, it's a /JCE.
/JCE.
You just go to mintmobile.com and then you slash the JCE. A lot of people have been using extra sharp knives on their computers, and that's causing damage with the screens. We suggest you don't slash the JCE that way.